What is going on, you guys? Admiral Tori here, and welcome aboard for another World of Warships video on my channel. In today's video, I am sailing the Tier 6 Premium American Battleship, the USS Arizona. Now, this particular game, the thing I want to talk about in this video mainly is battleship navigation or map awareness, because this is a problem that drives me nuts all the way to Tier 10. From Tier 3 to Tier 10, this is a common problem. Now, I can let it go for Tier 3 and 4 because Tier 3 and 4 people just started to learn how to play the game, and the maps are small, and also ships in general at that particular tier are slow for the battleship except the Miyogi and the Kongo. Now, when you hit Tier 5 and Tier 6 and Tier 7, it becomes a important thing to know where you should be going in a game in terms of the map. And it takes experience. The only possible excuse for somebody to not go the right direction with a battleship, mainly because when it comes to battleships, they are very important ships. They can take a lot of damage. They are considered a capital ship. And I know for a fact that people always stress equality, balance, but the truth is, battleships are a major player in this game. It's the same way as a aircraft carrier, and at the same time, cruiser can contribute as much as a battleship and also destroyers. But in most cases, seeing battleships and their capabilities and the potential, it is important to utilize your battleships at all costs. Now, in this game, what I want you guys to focus when it comes to battleship navigation is the map and the enemy battleship and my friendly battleship. If you play Fault Line enough, at least 30 games, you should know by then that spawning at sea, especially in my situation, is not a good place for a American battleship, especially because these ships are slow, number one, and number two, sea is a common place for destroyers and cruisers to go rather than battleships. So from my instincts, from my experience, it is possible to send a battleship to sea, but most cases, the keyword is most cases, not all cases, battleships don't go sea unless you're this Colorado who's going to sea. And this can benefit my team because this Colorado will be at sea by himself, sailing at 20 knots, meaning that he will be zoned out the game most of the time, which gives my team, if we choose to capitalize on this information, to delete all their battleships on the other side, because we do have the advantage of the numbers of battleship. And that is if your team goes to the other side. Now, judging from the minimap, you notice that we spotted several battleships going A and only one battleship going C from the enemy team. What does my team do? Well, we're gonna send 3 battleships to C, and what I just said was that C is not ideal for battleships at all. You're gonna be facing cruisers and destroyers. And yes, you can delete a cruiser, and yes, you can delete a destroyer with a battleship, but think about it. If you're going against cruisers and destroyers, just kill 2 cruisers or maybe 2 cruisers or 2 destroyers, whatever it is really small amount of ship spawns on sea. From what I see, most of the time, most of the ships will be spawning on the other side of the map, which is the west side or near the B and A flag rather than C flag. The most ships that ever spawn at sea, I think might be 4 or mainly 3 on average. So C should be the least priority, and you should usually go to A and push toward B. And plus, C has a lot of mountains, so if you send most of your team to C and you try to push the same way as A being much more open, easier to push to B, C, you have to go through that little canyon or narrow way or go around the entire mountain, which is wasting time. So these battleship players decided to go C because they spotted 1 battleship and some destroyer and some cruisers, or not at least 1 destroyer, 1 cruiser, and 1 battleship. That's the most knowledge you can get. Looking on the minimap, look at that, most of the enemy battleships are going to the other side, and the most common way to fight another battleship is to use your own teammate's battleship. In this case, my team decides to not utilize that information, and playing battleships takes on average 30 seconds to reload their guns, and if you're playing a tier 8 and below battleship, most battleships sail around 20 to 30 knots, and there's our exceptions like the Kongo and the upcoming Scornhorse German battle cruiser or battleship, fast battleship. There are ships that are fast for a battleship, but in most cases, like in my Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Fuso, Nagato, those ships on average sail about 20 to 25 knots, and that's if you're going full speed ahead, meaning that you're reaching your top speed. it's gonna be a while to actually get across the map, which is I'm trying to do, sailing full speed ahead, straight line without being spotted, so I can get the maximum amount of speed off of the ship. Now the Arizona is a slow ship, so let's keep that in mind, and I'm trying to get my ship over to the other side because I spotted a lot of Congos and the New Mexico. So it's only ideal to help your team to fight A against other battleships. Now notice on the mini-map, my 3 battleship players who decided to go to the other side made that fatal mistake, which I just said, and the only way to avoid this mistake is through experience, and hopefully after this game they realized their big mistake, and that was going to sea. And what they did was they fought 1 destroyer and 1 cruiser, I believe, which was the Bouilloni. So 3 battleship against 1 destroyer and 1 cruiser. Was it worth it against all the other enemy battleships who are pounding my friendly Minikaze, Bouilloni, Furutaka, and what soon to be the Texas, I think, or the New York. Basically the New York class battleship. I believe it might be the New York in this game. So was it worth it? So you got me, a Texas, or a New York, wherever it is, against a Congo, another Congo, and New Mexico, and I believe there will be a 3rd Congo on the side. Yeah, 2 against 3 to 4 battleships on A side, and this was spotted. They were spotted in the beginning of the match. You saw it on the minimap. And my team chooses to continue to go C in terms of the battleship fleet. Not sure what it is, not sure what the deal is, but please, if you know, I got a lot of things I list out which are important skills, and the most important paramount skills that if any player play World of Warships is just not battleships in general, but is making the right decision and understanding what you can do and what you cannot do. Making one wrong decision, one player making one wrong decision can turn the game around big time, and we got 3 battleships making the wrong decision. So you kind of get what we're going through here in this game and my chances of winning. Now I still picked this particular gameplay because this gameplay is actually really good, but unfortunately you kind of guess what's going to happen at the end game result for having 3 battleship players picking the poor choice. And like I said, this is not just a one-time scenarios. I see it all the time, and I kind of don't understand that sometimes when you start a game and you spawn on a side of a map and it is a reasonable side to be spawning on, but people chooses to go the opposite direction or take the long route to the other side of the map. And that really drives me nuts with the USN battleships. It's not because I don't like USN battleship players, but if you know your USN battleships, tier 7 and below, they are Dreadnought style battleships, and being Dreadnought style battleships, they have a lot of armor and they're slow in trade for. So when you're spending most of your time sailing across the map with 20 to 18 knots and basically not participating in major battles like this case scenario where I'm dealing with 3 Congos and in New Mexico, you kind of see what my situation is pretty crap. And by the time they realize that the situation is bad on the other side, they will turn around being full health, and next thing you know, they're going against the entire team because most of your team being battered by the enemy battleship has been wiped out. So now you're down to being with your small squad, in this case the 3 battleship, against all odds of the enemy team. Now this is a team-based game as usual, and understandably you don't get the perfect game, and I understand, but this is just one of those videos where you learn more from your mistakes rather than winning the game, because winning the game, obviously you're doing something right to win the game all the time. So in this particular game, I am in the Arizona, and I surprisingly nuked some destroyers, which is caught me by surprise with the Arizona. I do love playing the Arizona, and I still have not done a full video about the Arizona. The Arizona is a special ship for the US Navy, big time. And look at this Congo. This Congo is trying to ram me. I was asking my team for help before he rams me, but luckily he didn't have enough speed to actually ram me, and being the Arizona, being the bigger ship and heavier and larger ship, I was able to survive that ram, and he was suffering from flooding. Now that Kamikaze are just gonna peek around the corner. I don't think I get him. Do I get him? Let's see. So far I killed like 1 destroyer, I believe, and nuked that one was on B. And yes, I get this destroyer with a devastating strike. Both destroyers were devastating strike, which is surprising because normally when you kill destroyers on one try or one shot over 50% of the HP, it usually ends up in a detonation, especially Japanese destroyers, because Japanese destroyers are really a common name for being detonated for some odd reason. But I got both destroyers with AP loaded and both devastating strike. Now this enemy New Mexico is about to pop up and he will be another target, and considering my position, it's kind of hopeless for me to fight the New Mexico, but luckily with one of the other battleship who had the right mind made the right decision, which was the New York, I believe, or the Texas, one of those two. We will find out once he appears on the screen. He will be I guess a sacrifice for your team, because in an informal way, if I were to put it this way, he was kind of like a bait. Yeah, I think it's New York. He would be taking most of the damage. He'd be the punching bag for the New Mexico. Eventually he would lose most of his health, but he managed to survive to prolong the game, because I will come right around the corner and blast that New Mexico who's showing a broadside against me, because he has to pick between me, being the Arizona, or the New York. So in this case, luckily the New York will be in a poor position, and I'm gonna take the shot against this Omaha. I believe if I actually kill this Omaha, we might have been able to make a comeback, because killing your ships reduces the amount of points on the other side and give points to our side. But if you notice, we are deeply behind on the objectives, and one of the reasons why is because most of our battleships went to the other side. And the reason why they went to the other side, I don't have a clue. The best thing I can explain is that they have not played Fault Line enough. So the New Mexico is going to show me a side. I'm going to take this opportunity to kill the New Mexico as fast as possible. Now, New Mexico's or American battleships from Tier 6 to Tier 7, with the Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona, are very tough to Citadel, so I'm going to try and aim for the Citadel. Now, some people don't realize how to Citadel American battleships, but you got to really aim low. And in this case, I will Citadel this New Mexico, I believe, if I aim low enough. So this New Mexico, having more than half health, is going to try to finish up the New York. And if he finishes off the New York, it's pretty much game. But he does not finish up in New York, because the New York being the punching bag, unfortunately. But he does a great job for sacrificing for the team in hopes of trying to winning. Is going to angle his armor against this New Mexico. So I'm going to try to eliminate this New Mexico, and that salvo didn't do so well, but this one will surely do a lot of damage. That is very low. And there you have it, 2 Citadels. Yeah, I know it's really uncommon to see Citadels for an American battleship, but it is possible if you aim low enough, and if your trajectory doesn't have a huge arc, then it is possible. The trick to Citadeling American battleship for the Tier 7 and below is to be around, I guess, 5 to 10 kilometers, because that's when your shell's not plunge firing on the deck, so there is a better chance of actually penetrating the Citadel. And also you have to aim low, meaning that there's a higher chance of actually missing your shell out, like most of your shells, because you're pretty much aiming at the water or below the water line. It tends to be easier to aim for a Japanese battleship, but for American battleships, even though they have better armor than the Japanese, they are pretty much defensive against overall damage, because on average you do damage to make up for having difficulties of citadeling American battleships. At this point, we are way too behind on points, and honestly I do not know what happened to the 3 battleships at sea. I only see 1 cruiser who survived at sea. Don't know what happened, but the enemy team does send their battleships to the other side all of a sudden, because they spot 3 of our battleships to happen to be at sea. But most of the damage has already been done for having a poor choice in early game. When you make that early game poor choice, it will catch on to you late game, and it's going to be much more difficult to fix. And in our case, we were being outcapped because we didn't have enough battleship support at A nor B. So now the game is going to be ending slowly. I'm trying to aim for this Colorado, but there's really no hope. This Bayoni is going to find a, I guess, try to find a destroyer, because there was a destroyer, a Kamikaze R, that nuked one of our Congos, because the Congo went around the corner, and next thing you realize he's going to get torpedoed by a Kamikaze R. It's pretty much done deal, and I know for a fact that the Kamikaze R is right there, but I have no other choice but to head toward that way. And there you have it, the Bayoni got knocked out. So what did we learn? If you're a battleship player, and this also applies to other players, but mainly battleships, make the right decision with your map experience, and make the right decision to go the right side, and also spectate the mini-map at all times, because you're a slow ship, number 1, and you have all the time in the world for sitting down there and shooting your guns for 30 seconds, and within those 30 seconds of reloading your gun, look on the mini-map. Look for cruisers, look for battleships, mainly battleships, because you're the one who's going to be doing the job to fight other battleship as a battleship player. So aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time on World of Warships.